Alright guys, welcome back to Europe Scenarios Part 2. I may have unplugged something just so I could do this video. As you saw on Sunday, we lost power. And that was fun. So, we're going to do an updated playoff scenarios. There was a lot of, for the top two, a lot of like tiebreaker help scenarios. So we're actually going to go over those a little bit more in depth here. As soon as I find my sheet. There we go. I'm sorry. I lost my sheet. So here we go. So let's do it. First, we'll talk about the bottom two. And right now, we got to put a Fnatic with a 1 win here. We will be starting the day 9 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday with Fnatic up 1-0 on Envy. The first time we've ever done this, where a team will start with the lead. We have had some small breaks, I think, when servers went out where someone continued a series, but it wasn't very long. But Fnatic is a 1-game lead. What they need to survive here is they need at least 2 wins versus Envy. If they do that, they will survive. If Envy wins 3-1, as you can see here, it's not good for them. They are out of the picture because they will not be able to catch up to PSG in their win percentage with a 3-1. A 3-2, though, and they have a chance to catch up to PSG, which we'll show right here. It only happened if it was a 3-0. They'd be 10-17, and they would move ahead just barely. At 3-1, PSG, again, has moved back up into the lead. So, that is how that one works out. So, Fnatic, you need at least 2 wins, and then you would have to sweep PSG. But the much easier result is if they win the series no matter how they win it. Doesn't matter if it's a 3-0 or whatever. All they have to do is beat PSG. If they lose to beat PSG still, they would lose in tiebreakers to Envy. Because Envy's win percentage coming in, they were 2-3, but they were looking really good. They were 12-11 in win percentage until they got 3-0'd by Vitality. But even with that, Fnatic's win percentage is so low that they cannot pass Envy, which is why Envy has clinched. So, even if they lost 3-2, they wouldn't be able to pass Envy. But if they win, they would pass Envy, and they would pass PSG. PSG would fall all the way down, and they would fall below Envy as well if that happened. So that's why Envy is locked in, and it'll come down to if Fnatic wins, just whoever wins that series, Fnatic and PSG makes it in, which would be really cool. One little note for Envy is they must win for a 5th place. If they lose, they do not get 5th place. See, they're 100% there, and no matter what happens here, we do a 3-2 there. If we zero this out, I'm pretty sure they still just get 6th place. Yeah, see? No matter what, like they're showing in 7th right now because they would be below both those teams. But one of them has to lose between PSG and Fnatic. That team would take 5th, and then Envy would fall to 6th place, which means they have to play one of these big 3 up here instead of playing Flipside Tactics, who will finish in 4th. Most likely. Flipside can still finish in 3rd, but most likely they're finishing in 4th. So, there you have it there. So that's what they're playing for. Next up, PSG, which we talked about a little bit here. We talked about Fnatic and a little bit about Envy, but PSG is just the opposite of what Fnatic needs, obviously. Like, if Fnatic gets kicked out, then PSG's in. So if this is a 3-1, if Envy wins 3 in a row, PSG's in without even winning their series. And if this is a 3-2, PSG would have to get swept. If PSG wins 1 game, they would make it in. And then, of course, if Fnatic wins, then they just have to beat Fnatic. So, controlling their own destiny, both them and Fnatic, but they play each other, so someone's got to lose. So, that's how that works out for the top 6. PSG, again, can move up to 5th if Envy loses, but that's how that one plays out. Next up is Complexity for top 2. So, honestly, like I think for Gale Force, this worked out the best for them. Because Complexity and Vitality both looked extremely strong on that day. And if they would have continued through, they might have smacked around Gale Force just a bit. But for top 2, all they need, 1 single game win. Their win percentage is so good, as you can see right here when we start over. They're at 68%. Vitality is just 1 game below them, which is very important. And then Gale Force is pretty low at 12-7. So, if they get just 1 single game win off of Gale Force can no longer catch them in tiebreaks. And so it's Gale Force can't catch them unless they beat Vitality, but then Vitality would drop out as well. So that's how that would work. So Complexity would still be up there. So if we see like a 3-0 would then move Vitality below Complexity. Even a 3-2, Vitality is still below Complexity. So if Complexity gets just 1 single win there. Now, they can still make it even if they get 3-0'd. So if they get 3-0'd, What they need is GFE to beat Vitality 3-1 or better. As soon as we see a 3-1 here, then Vitality will be below Complexity once again. And this is because Complexity had that 1-game lead on Vitality. So, like, if Vitality were to tie them, they've played more games, which, again, I'm not a big fan of, but this is how it works. Like, if you play more games than you're above 500, your win percentage is going to be weaker, even if you have the same game differential. Pretty much, this is what happened to CLG versus Ghost, which in a way was good, because Ghost would have got screwed out of this, but if CLG would have went 4-4, where they would have won 3-1 versus Cloud9 and lost 1-3 to G2, it's the same win rate, but they would have actually moved ahead of Ghost. Instead, they did 3-0 and 0-3, and when you're below 500, if you play less games, it hurts you. If you're above 500 and you play less games, it helps you, which is kind of weird. But, so Complexity would move ahead here in this situation. And, yeah, so it'd have to be a 3-1 at least for Gale Force. If Vitality wins, no matter what, Gale Force is in, unless it's a 3-0. My mistake. I didn't have this one on here, I don't think. Oh, wait, I did. It was the next one on here. Yeah, so if Gale Force sweeps, then Vitality has to sweep, and Complexity will get the spot just barely as well. So that's what they're hoping for. A 3-1 from Gale Force or better. So 3-1 or 3-0 or a 3-0 from Vitality. Once it's a 3-1 for Vitality, it bumps them out. And then, of course, a 3-2 on the other side will bump them out as well, which will show here, just so you guys can see it. But again, the win percentages would work out for Vitality, and Gale Force doesn't have to worry about win percentage, but they would have it anyway. So that's what Complexity needs. So they are looking pretty good to make the top 2. Next up, we have Gale Force. If they win 2, they obviously get the spot. Right now, they are a half a game behind both these teams, but as soon as they play them, and they win both, boom, they're 6-1. Both of the teams will finish 5-2. That's an easy first place. If they sweep Complexity plus 1 win versus Vitality, which we talked about a little bit in the Complexity results, then Gale Force would be up here no matter what. As you can see, a 60 or 40%, because their win percentage would jump ahead of Complexity. Even if they lose this series 3-1, they would still make it in. And then if they just sweep Vitality, so this is the one result we haven't looked at. If Complexity sweeps Gale Force, no matter what, all Gale Force has to do is sweep Vitality, and they are in. They don't even need help. They would be in. If it's a 3-1, then they would need a win here. Which I still don't think it even helps. Oh, there we go. Like, if they got a 3-2, then they would need a 3-1 versus Vitality to make it in. So, there's a couple weird tiebreakers still to be determined. But once again, I'll be on the desk. So, I will let you know after every series what is still needed to be played for. And we'll continue through that. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it on the desk this weekend, at least for North America. We didn't get too much into Europe because Europe, it didn't matter just yet. So that's what Gale Force needs. Next up is Vitality. If they beat Gale Force, no matter what, they are in. We'll show this right here. Vitality's in no matter what, because one of these two will drop in win percentage. Either Gale Force wins, and Gale Force can actually catch Vitality in win percentage now that I'm looking at it. So even if it's a 3-0 for Gale Force, they can just not catch Vitality at all in the win percentage. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter about win percentage, because if Vitality beats Gale Force, they're 6-1. So there you go. And it would drop Gale Force to 5-2. So if, say, Complexity won, which, sure, Complexity will pass Vitality, but Gale Force will then fall to 4-3. So that wouldn't matter. And that's one of the results where Flipside would move up to 4-3. They need Gale Force to go 0-2 for Flipside to make it, which we'll play around with in a little bit right at the end of here. So if they beat Gale Force, they're in. If Gale Force gets 2 losses, they're in, which I shouldn't have even put, because if they beat Gale Force, that's one of the reasons. So that wouldn't matter, really. But other result is if they lose a 3-2 to Gale Force, as long as GFE won 3-0 over Complexity, they are in. If Complexity wins this in any scenario, except for a 3-2, I think. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, never mind. They just need a 2-3 loss to a Gale Force, and I think no matter what they're in. Hold on. Let me check. No, there is a chance they don't make it. Hold on. Okay, let me find it. Oh, yeah, like if it's a 3-1 or 3-2 on complexity. That's what it was. I'm sorry. 3-1 or 3-2 on complexity from Gale Force. Vitality would not make it. But if complexity beats Gale Force, they would be in because they would have a higher win percentage. So there you go. That's what Vitality needs. Again, Vitality will know exactly what they need as they come up to the final game because complexity is playing earlier. Which is another thing. I didn't really understand the schedule for the final week because we had Vitality play the first game, and then they have to have an entire break to the 6th game, while Complexity played the 2nd game, and then they only have to break to the 4th game with Gale Force. Why wouldn't Gale Force and Vitality play here? Then Vitality has a smaller break, and then Complexity still has a rather large break, but not as large. And they would play in the final game of the season, and that would be a rematch of the World Championship Season 4 Finals. You know? Maybe they were banking on Vitality being really good and Complexity not. That's fine, but still, a rematch of the World Championship from last season should be the last game in Europe, I would say. But a little bit of a weird scheduling thing there. But let's go over what Flipside needs. So Flipside, cancel everything out. So they are 4-3. So for them to get the 3rd seed, they need Gale Force, no matter what, to lose to. Because that's the only team that they can catch. They can't catch Vitality or Complexity anymore. So they would need them to lose to. Let's see what happens if they just lose to 3-2, 3-2. Yep. They would make it no matter what. So if Gale Force just loses 2, then Flipside gets number 3, and Gale Force gets number 4. So that means if Envy does win, then it's like, I don't know who you'd rather want to play. Like a Flipside that just went 2-0 2 weeks ago against some of the best teams, or Gale Force, who just lost to 2 really good teams, but it's still Gale Force. It's not easy in Europe, no matter what. So that's how Gale Force can drop all the way down to 4, and Flipside can move up to 3. But that's it for the playoff scenarios, and I'm going to bring back the plug when I go back to California, some Ethernet ports here, and we'll make sure the stream goes live this time, and we play it out on Thursday. And that also means I'm here at my house for a very short time this week, only 2 days, and then I have to go back, and it's my birthday on Friday. So we got Thursday show, birthday Friday, Saturday show, Sunday show. So that should be a lot of fun. But that'll do it for me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed all the scenarios, even if I screwed up a little bit at the start. But again, just listen to me on the desk, and I will tell you exactly what your teams need. Or on Twitter, I will tell you exactly what your teams need when it comes down to it in those games. But yeah, that's all I got. So I will see you on Thursday. And then Saturday. And then Sunday. But that'll do it for me. Goodbye.